Good morning. We're going to allow Facebook to build my audience here. And we'll get started here in just a moment. It is Tuesday morning, about 11 o'clock. And we are looking at the topic of flag or no flag. At least that's what I've titled this. And thank you for those who are joining. I'm going to wait just a minute or two for Facebook to build our audience. And good morning, Sean. If I don't say hi to you, it's because I don't see it popping up over here. I try to say hi to everyone who comes in or who comments so that I can see them. And so we're going to get started here in just a moment looking at, so much of this stuff that's going on in the NFL. Hi, Michael from Kentucky. Cynthia from Kentucky. I don't know if that's how you pronounce that. Glad to have you here with us this morning. I'm just going to share this one more time, and then we're going to get started here this morning. We're looking at the topic of what I call flag or no flag. We know if you watch football, and I love watching football. I love watching probably college more than pro, and even before all this other stuff started going on, I probably liked it more than pro football. But we know that, especially on Facebook, I know I've seen a lot of it lately, post after post, and two of them have been my own, but I've seen a lot of them dealing with the kneeling during the national anthem. And I've only read one comment that was that said that they had no issue with it. Many of the other comments, and I've read a lot of comments concerning this, felt quite differently about that. And so we're going to talk about that this morning. We know that there's a lot of kneeling going on in football, in NFL during the national anthem. And now also, I believe last week I saw where it had been reported that a player from the Major League Baseball had kneeled during the national anthem. You think about this idea, when I say flag or no flag in my title, I mean, is it right or is it wrong? And this is one of those things that is a matter of opinion. At least to me, it seems like it's a matter of opinion. I think there is some issues concerning respect and things such as that. Good morning, Patty. Good to have you here with us. And so we want to, of course, understand what respect is, but we also have to understand that some people don't view this as an issue while others do. I don't want to say many too many times. I want you to think I'm trying to stack the cards against those who are doing this. But think about this for a moment. The mistreatment of others and or the continual crimes due to racism and the like are never something that the Christian should be okay with. I think we all understand that, or hope that we do. We understand there's a lot of violence, especially around racism. Good morning, James. Good to have you with us. There's a lot of violence concerning racism, a lot of violence concerning hello, John, all the way from the Philippines. Good to have you with us. You got to give him a shout out. He's from the Philippines. A lot of violence concerning the border issues and things such as that. A lot of hatred and a lot of anger going on there. And we have to realize is that any time we have a disagreement involving things such as, especially racism, of course, racism for the Christian, racism should be dead. Let's just be clear about that. It shouldn't exist anymore, but it does. And to be honest, it probably always will because we're human beings and we're slow learners. But racism should not exist in any form. Whether it be, racism from, African Americans, towards whites or Caucasian, whatever the political term may be, or whether it be, whites and Hispanic or Hispanics and African American, whatever it may be, it shouldn't exist at all. But it does today, and it probably always will exist. And so we know that those who are kneeling during the national anthem. They are trying to show their support for those who they feel have been mistreated, and those who have had crimes against them, maybe because of racism and things such as that. But also now, especially this past weekend, there are those who have been kneeling during the national anthem to show their disrespect and their non-support for the president. And now, don't misunderstand me. I do not agree with everything that comes out of his mouth. I definitely don't agree with every way that he says something. I may agree with the concept, but I may not always agree with how he says it. So we need to be, there is a difference in that. But the mistreatment of others and the crimes due to racism, things like that, the Christian should never be okay with. We should never take it lightly. And we understand that these individuals are these players, and probably the majority across the NFL this past weekend, kneeled during the singing of the national anthem. In fact, in one location, I forget where it was at, even the singer, when she was done, went down on one knee. Now, the problem that we're seeing, or the concern, I should say, that we're seeing, is not so much that people are protesting. I have never, in all that I've seen and read and looked at and watched, have I seen anyone upset that they're protesting or that they're showing support of something or they're showing their non-support of something, that is, these NFL players. It's that how they are doing it seems to be the biggest issue. And with that, that is kind of where I am personally, and you may be somewhere else on this. Everyone has the right for a peaceful protest. This is not a crime to be doing a peaceful protest, but there are some different things that are taking place here, especially when we look at recent history. We see that things aren't quite as clear and aren't quite as, you might say, on a level playing field, so to speak, when we consider these things. Peaceful protest is not a crime. Protests are a part of history. We've seen it going on through every president who's been in office. Probably, not for certain, probably has had some type of protest or a group of people speaking against them while they're holding the office, because you cannot please everyone or anyone all the time. However, the issues doesn't seem to be the protesting or standing up for those who feel they have been oppressed. The issue, again, is how it's being done. It is interesting that these players are given the okay to kneel during the national anthem to show their support or non-support or showing their concern for various things, because they were not given the okay to show their support for those affected by 9/11. I believe they had some stickers and things, a small little sticker in the back of the helmet, and people were being fined for that. Good afternoon or good morning, other Sandy. Good to have Patty and Sandy Asher here with us this morning. But the players were being fined and you might say discouraged from putting anything on their helmet. And again, from what I saw, is a small little sticker in the back of their helmet, showing their support for those who have been affected by 9/11, those who have lost loved ones, and showing their support for those who had worked so hard after those events to help those who were in need. And again, the NFL was strongly against that. They weren't allowed to put anything on their helmets. Also, those players, I believe those there in Dallas and maybe other locations, were not allowed to show their support for the Dallas Police Department. And the reason I bring these things up is because it seems there is some hypocrisy taking place. It is okay to kneel during the national anthem, but it's not okay to put a sticker in the back of your helmet showing your support for those affected by 9/11. It's not okay to show your support of the Dallas Police Department. And so we see there is hypocrisy taking place in these things. Players often show their support or non-support by wearing armbands, by wearing certain socks. In fact, you know that during Cancer Awareness Month, I think it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, they wear pink socks. They wear pink gloves. And that is okay, and I definitely have no problem with that. But again, they were condemned and they were penalized or maybe fined, rather, when many try to show their support of those affected by 9/11 and those trying to show their support of the Dallas Police Department. These things do not offend those who have fought for our country, that is, wearing certain colored gloves or socks and things such as that. But what offends so many people today is that we regard the national anthem as something that is honorable, something that is to remind us of the freedom we enjoy in this country because of those who have sacrificed so much. In fact, from 1917 to now, you have at least 11 major engagements or wars in which the United States has been involved in, including World War I all the way up to today, involving what some call really the ongoing fighting over in Iraq and Syria and other places such as that. And so those who have fought in wars, those who have had loved ones fight in wars, those who have loved ones who have died in war, or who have even just been in a war, whatever case may be, those who have served in the armed services, so I'm trying to say, are greatly offended to see these individuals kneeling during the national anthem. And I think if we're honest, what we're going to see today, because of the way that our media is that we're going to find, and we have seen over and over again, is that the media seems to focus on those who are not offended by it, but they seem to instead focusing on the players and what they're doing, and really kind of anti, it doesn't matter who's, and they always find someone who they don't like. We know, of course, the media for the most part does not like our president, and many of us may not like him either, but there is a difference between liking someone and respecting the position. And so what the problem is going on here is not so much with that these players are protesting, it's how they are doing it. And, as Christians, we should not be angry with those who choose to protest. It is their right in this country. If it's done peaceably, done without violence, and of course sometimes that's not the case, but that's the case so far, at least in these situations. I have no problem whatsoever with a player wearing an armband showing their support for something. I remember some players, NBA players, before or during a warm-up, wore a certain shirt concerning an individual who was arrested and was actually died in the process of being arrested because they were believed to be resisting arrest. Well, these players, to show their support and show their concern about the situation, wore T-shirts. But they did not kneel during the national anthem. And I think we realize today that there are ways in which we can show our support and show our concerns for things that are good and that are wise. But we have to be careful that we do not disrespect those who have sacrificed so much. We live in a time in our country when violence is seen almost daily. We know, as we're going to talk about later this afternoon, because it is an issue, talking about the shooting there that happened at the Burnett Chapel, or Burnett Church of Christ over there in Antioch, Tennessee. We'll be talking about that at 2 o'clock. And so don't think this is all we're going to talk about today. This definitely isn't the bigger issue at all. But we know there is violence seen today all the time, constantly. In our news, we see it. I have a little podcast which I'm subscribed to that every hour it releases a 4-minute news segment. And honestly, that's about as much as I can handle. Sometimes that is a little too much because there's so much negativity, there's so much bias, there's so much partiality, even in those little 4-minute clips. But the world around us is filled with violence. And we have to, there's nothing wrong to allow others to show their concern about situations which they have a great deal of concern about. They're concerned about racism, so am I. They're concerned about violence, so am I. They're concerned about people being taken advantage of, well, so am I. They're concerned about people being treated unfairly, so am I. But there is a right way to do things, or maybe we should say there's a wise way to do things, and there's then at least a not-so-wise way to do things. We see acts of violence against Christians, as I mentioned before, the shooting there at Burnett Church of Christ. If you noticed, I haven't heard a whole lot about it from what we might consider our mainstream media. It's interesting what they pick up on and what they choose to ignore. But nonetheless, we see acts of violence against Christians and against our country in general. But now is not a time to do things that cause even more division in our country. Now is a time for us to be united. And I don't mean that we condone sin in order to be united. That is never a way to be united. You'll never be united if you're trying to condone sin. But what we're talking about today isn't sinful. These individuals have not done anything sinful by kneeling during the national anthem. It just simply seems that there is a better way, a more respectful way, to continue to protest without disrespecting so many who hold the national anthem so dear to them. We need unity in our country. We have to remember that sports is entertainment. It's not a necessity in this life. If we choose not to watch it, which so many will say, well, we don't want to see that, then turn it off. Well, I have. And I think what we see is so many today are doing the same thing. I have a favorite football team. And this past Sunday, I didn't watch any of it, not because of what they were doing, but because I was busy. But after seeing what had taken place and some players from the team who I like to watch, I won't be watching them for a while. Not until some of these things seem to calm down and people, I understand the president, people blame things on the president. What he said was not right. I definitely don't agree with how he said it. I'll put it that way. But we have to remember that the national anthem is about our country and freedoms that we enjoy. And we should be careful that we don't offend those who have sacrificed so much. Those who have loved ones who have sacrificed so much to enjoy the freedoms that we have here in this country. Again, sports is entertainment. It's not a necessity. If we feel, again, what we're talking about today are matters of opinion. These are not doctrinal things, but they are matters of opinion. But if we are offended by it, turn it off. Don't watch it. But friends, we also shouldn't allow this to divide the brotherhood either. If someone says, I don't see what the big deal is, they're doing this peaceably, let them just go ahead and do it. That is their opinion. This is not a doctrinal issue. And so let's not allow this to divide us as brothers and sisters in Christ either. The Christian has every right to no longer support things in which they believe are promoting or doing things which they believe is not right. Again, not sinful, but not right, not respectful. Just like anything else that we find offensive, we can always turn it off. We can always stop watching it. We can unsubscribe from our NFL ticket packages. We can stop going to games. We can stop buying apparel. We can, as I watched a video this morning, we can write Washington and encourage them not to provide any help to these teams and ways of building new stadiums. They get subsidies and things such as that affect our tax dollars. And so we can voice our concern that way if we so decided. But it's interesting as we watch football games, you'll notice, at least in a few that I've seen this season, there are portions of them. I never get to watch one from start to finish. But, that was before last week. But even before then, before I stopped watching, what I saw is that we see stadiums that aren't quite as full. And I hear more and more people talking about, well, did you see the game? And you hear them say, nope, I didn't see it. I didn't watch it. Because they feel the country and those who have worked so hard to defend it are being disrespected. And so we must remember, and thank you. I see Jennifer Coons here. Thank you, Jennifer, for watching. And also Lisa Brewster. Good to have you here with us. Lisa says here, it's banned from my home until things change. A lot of people feel that way. And we have to realize as Christians that we can allow this to divide us. If we feel strongly about it, then by all means, don't watch it. But as Christians, I think also we have the right to stand up for those who have defended our country and to show them our support. Again, we may agree or not agree with what is taking place, but we know there are right ways to do things and then there are maybe some unwise ways to do things. And so if we choose to watch or not watch, let's keep in mind that let's not allow these things to divide us. There are too many things in this world already that are going to divide us. They're trying to divide us. Satan's trying to divide us over any way that anything we can, whether it be the NFL or sports, whether it be over our president and what he's doing or over government in general. There are a lot of things in which Satan tries to use to divide us as Christians. And friends, how silly would it be to allow us to cause a sport and what people are doing to divide us? Whether you're in favor of it or have no problem with it, whatever it may be, let's not allow it to be something for division. Let us, if we're concerned about it, make decisions regarding that and to pray about it. That is the Christian response. And we shouldn't be upset about those who are allowing their voice to be heard over their concerns. If they're concerned about racism and violence and things such as that, there's nothing wrong with that. We might not agree with what they are or how they are doing it, but it's no reason to allow it to cause division among us. So let us as Christians use our God-given right, our free will, to decide if we're going to support something or not. Allow us to be wise enough and to be humble enough to not allow it to divide us. Again, we have many things that already are working hard against us to divide us as Christians and as a nation in general. Now, I hope you'll be back with me today at 2 o'clock because we'll be talking about the tragedy that happened at the Burnett Church of Christ this past Lord's Day. We definitely want to keep those affected in our prayers, and we'll be talking about that more this afternoon. If you want to talk about some other things as well this afternoon, be sure to let me know in the comments section here or on the graphic, which I've already posted. And so I'll try to get to those things this afternoon. Thank you for being here with me this morning. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and stay tuned for the video that's to come later today at 2 o'clock. And I thank you for watching and for following the added page here on Facebook.